Hey George, it's Luca. I'm gonna make a video just going over some ideas here. So I'll just talk a bunch about stuff. So basically, the cards that I collect are foils. So foil cards are like shiny cards. You can see like they're kind of shiny, whereas like most Magic cards aren't. Your typical Magic card. Let's see if I can find a bunch of Magic cards. So this is like what your typical Magic card looks like. It's like matte. It's not really like shiny. So these are what are called foils. So you'll see like it says foil here. Basically it means like the card is shiny and it like back about I forgot when they started foils. I think it was like 20 years ago. No. Yeah, it might have been like 20 something years ago. And they were like really rare when they first came out. And they made foils like in this specific way where it's like very likely that if you have an old foil like this, that the condition just deteriorates like really easily over time. So basically, the idea is like why I'm trying to collect these is because I think they're kind of undervalued. I think they're like more rare than people realize. So I think there's like a lot of room for growth in these cards. But basically, like this specific type of foiling, they only did it for specific sets. So if we look at all the sets of Magic, basically like Legacy Vintage, these are like the older sets. This is, and then they first started foils in this set, Urza's Legacy. I want to say it's like 1999. So Urza's Legacy, Urza's Destiny, Mercadian Mask, Nemesis, Prophecy, Invasion, Plane Shift, Apocalypse, Odyssey, Torment, Judgment, Onslaught, Legion, Scourge. So from 99 to 2003. So basically a stretch of like 5 years, I think. 4 or 5 years. That's when they had this specific type of foil. So I basically only collect foils from these sets. And 7th edition also counts. Just random those sets that I think are the most rare for the foils are like Prophecy, Nemesis. I think are the two rarest sets. Then after that, it's like Mercadian Mass, 7th edition, Urza's Destiny. So I'd say like those 5 sets: 7th, Prophecy, Nemesis, Mercadian Mass, and Urza's Destiny. I believe are like it's the most hard to find high quality foils that will grade well. Basically, I bought like actually I think I might have bought a few thousand foils, maybe like 1 or 2,000 over the past few years. And if you're just buying like random foils, I'd say maybe 20%, maybe 15% of the foils that you buy you can grade. And then of that, let's say 15% that you can actually grade because they're like in good enough condition to grade, only about half of them will get 9 or better, and only about 20% of them will get 9.5 or better. So if you think of 20% of 15%, that's like 3% of all foils. Of all these old foils are like 9.5s or better. So it's pretty hard to find 9.5s. Um, so we have done some research in the past, and basically we found that the multiplier for, let's see, let me open up this. Basically we did some like we collected some data, we did some regressions, and we found that like a 9.5 is about 2.6 times, sells for about 2.6 times like the regular cost, the raw cost. We found that a 9 should sell for about 1.3, so there's like a 30% premium, like a little bit of a premium, and an 8.5 is like 20% less than a raw. Even though it is probably on average like better condition than a raw, but people just aren't really that interested in buying 8.5s. That's what we found anyways. Maybe we can do some research now to see if that's changed. There's also what we call quad. Quad is like this dark confidence at quad because all of the subgrades, centering, edges, corners, and surface are all above 9.5. So that's like extremely rare. If you have like 5.9.5s, like on average, one of them will be a quad, I think, or maybe even less than 1 out of 5. The most, it's like extremely common if you have a 9.5 to have 3 9.5s and 1 9. Okay, so what you can do is you can look at some of these recently ended things, like for example, this Palinchron, Repercussion, Ring of Gigs, Might of Oaks, and we can see like what is the percent premium here. So this is a 9, so according to our previous research, it should be around a 30% premium. So you can basically, you can check prices for raw cards here at tcgplayer.com. So I'll look up Palinchron. And this is just, it's really confusing, which is why I'm not even totally sure how to explain it to you. Because like I think most people will come here, they'll be like, oh, okay, the raw price is, 340 or whatever, because that's the lowest. But actually, I know this company, Strike Zone Online, they're like, their near mint foils are not gradable at all. Not even close. This actually might be gradable. The edges you can see are kind of bad. You can't really tell the surface too well from this picture, but this could potentially be gradable. And then it's just so hard to say. Like this price is ridiculous, but this could be a reasonable price. Maybe the true price is 450. Maybe it's 350. Maybe I would say around 400. Basically, would be the raw price. That would be my guess, but I don't know how other people think about this exactly. I mean, it's a market, right? So what matters is what most people think, not what I think. The other thing you can look at too is you can look at sales history, and you can filter sales by foil, and you can look and see what the most recent. So there have been some recent sales for around 340, 350. We don't really know what condition they were in, but yeah, I'd say the price is probably for near mint is probably around 350 or 400, something like that. You could also look on eBay, and you could look like Palinchron foil, MTG, and we could look for sold listings. Sold listings is always more interesting than so 8.5 sold for 400, then a 9 only sold for a little bit more, which I think is kind of crazy because it's much harder to get a 9 than an 8.5, I believe. This one also sold for 400. Like this actually looks like quite good condition. See, this looks like very gradable to me. Although you can see like there's some stuff going on, so maybe not actually. It's kind of hard to tell. It really depends on the quality of the picture, and you can never tell if it's in a sleeve like this. There's no way of telling. So yeah, I would say yeah, maybe the raw price. Also because like in theory an 8.5 should be around the same as a raw price. Although on my model it says 80%, but it could be 100%. I'm still not totally sure. So it does seem like the raw price is about 400, which means the premium here was maybe a 10% premium at most. Not very big of a premium. So we can look at the other one. Like, what about Repercussion? Repercussion sold for 48.50. You also want to make sure like there wasn't shipping costs too. So really it sold for 53.50 because there's $5 shipping. So what does a repercussion sell for? Raw. I would say around $100 based on looking at this. This might even be gradable here. It's just interesting. The other thing too is like when someone only has 12 sales, usually their foils are not very good. Just because usually like foils are the hardest thing to properly like know the condition. So people who are like really new to selling on TG Player usually don't understand like what it takes to be a near mint foil. So I would say the raw price is around 100, which means this is below. So I don't even know what an eight's supposed to be. I don't really. You can tell I don't have any eights. The lowest I go is 8.5. So yeah, who knows? But I still think this is a decent deal. Also, another thing to think about is like how much it costs to grade the card. It's probably around $10 to grade it if you have all the discounts. Let's see what else. 8.5 Ring of Gix sold for 76, assuming it's $5 shipping. Let's look at what a so yeah, I mean, another thing too is like the direct sellers usually have really bad quality cards for whatever reason. I've noticed. So I don't know if this is like an $80, or if people think of it as $70, $80 raw, then it basically sold for like the same price for like no premium as an 8.5. So I'm not totally sure what we're gonna do, but that's like a little bit of an introduction to foils and graded foils. And I hope this was useful. See ya.